Let's do it. Okay. So, hi. Hope you're doing well. I wanted to preface what you're about to watch with a little bit of context, backstory, just so you know what you're going into. So, first and foremost, please understand I am by no means an expert um, when it comes to interviewing people or talking, and you will see that. Um, this all started back about a year and a half ago. Someone that I was friends with, no longer am, really wanted to start a podcast. And I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. And during that process of, interviewing people and like for the podcast and all that, I was like, this sounds really cool. And I really enjoy this. I really want to do this. Um, so that friend and I parted ways, so be it, whatever, life happens. But I still had that passion for wanting to interview horror creators, horror writers, horror fans, like just all walks of life, because we all have such crazy different stories. And I would love to share those with people, even if it's just a handful of people that are interested. I still want people to hear their stories. Um, so a few months back, I think it was around December, I posted a TikTok. I can't talk. I posted a TikTok where I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do like sort of like a podcast, but not really, and it's not gonna be that often, blah blah blah. Okay, I made that. Um, and kind of just let it sit for a while because I was dealing with my own personal stuff. Well, then I was still dealing with personal stuff, but this was really a really good, healthy distraction for me. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. There's never going to be a perfect time to do this. So I'm just going to start reaching out to people. And so I did. Um, the first person I reached out to, unfortunately, had scheduling conflicts. So we have to reschedule. But the next person is the person that you're about to watch, Jordan Harvey. Really, really nice guy, super friendly. I've followed him for years now, loved his content. And I was like, hey, I just want to do an interview. Let's do this. And he seemed down. I just noticed there's an arrow on the screen. Oh my gosh. Ugh, I'm so unprofessional. See, this is what I'm talking about, is that I guarantee, like, if I had like a team of people that'd be like, oh, Alyssa, move your mouse, or they'd edit it out or something. We don't do that here. Um, so a couple of things to keep in mind as you're watching this. Um, like I said, I am by no means a professional. This is literally just something that I'm doing for fun. Uh, and the people that I plan to reach out to, the people that I have reached out to, they understand that. Like they're not coming in here like, oh yeah, this is like a business thing, like blah blah blah. No, it's literally just me wanting to interview people because I want to interview them. Also, I don't have the neatest setup right now. I feel like I need to get like tapestry or something behind me, or maybe like a green screen. I also need to clean my depression pit that is my room and reorganize, and that may also help a bit. But that's something to happen like a while from now. We ain't doing that right this second. Um, I'm very critical of my own like stuff, which is why it takes me forever to do like anything creative. Hence why it's taken me going on 4 years to write a short story collection, um, because I get so in my head. So that's the problem that I'm facing right now with even the interview that you're about to see, is that when I watched it back, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's like so much like awkward space on my end. And also Zoom, something that I forgot about Zoom is when you're recording, um, you have to have like certain settings and all that. When I was recording it, like, obviously on my screen, I'm on the right side, he's on the left. And in the final product, you'll see that. You'll see me looking off to the right, I believe. It's the opposite side that you'll see him on because it's flipped. It's a flipped image from what it was when I recorded it. Because I don't know technology. These are all kinks that I need to figure out moving forward. Um, so again, I'm I'm just starting out. I am just doing this for fun. Please, I beg of you, do not come at me and be like, oh, well, you could have done X, Y, and Z better. Oh, la, la, la. Like, buddy, I am so sorry. I am a college student. I'm a broke college student at that. Um, I'm working with what I've got. I don't have, like I said, a team of people. I don't have money for special editing software. I don't have that. I just have me, myself, and I. So if you do not like that, you can keep scrolling. My feelings will not be hurt. Anyway, all of that is to say, I really hope you like this interview and the ones that I plan to do in the future. I have one lined up for next week. Um, Really cool horror content creator on TikTok, and I still need to email them. So sorry I haven't yet. um, yeah, no, I have so many people in mind. Like y'all don't even know. I want to start out with some people that I feel deserve more credit, and if we build up enough, maybe some bigger names. But hey, like I said, I'm just starting out. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this, and I really, really hope you enjoy it. Okay, so thank you for joining me here today.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, so so yeah, I really wanted to interview you because I have been following you for gosh, almost 5 years.
5 years.
I
Wow.
Yeah,
Long time.
oh
Long
yeah,
time.
and I
That's
love,
crazy.
love, love your cosplay content.
Oh, thank
Um,
you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
and I just wanted to know like what got you into that. So could you tell me a little bit about like what got you into like cosplaying as Jason Voorhees?
Yeah. Sorry, let me shut the door. But yeah, what got me into it was how it all started, is that it started with a sleepover. I went over to a friend's house for a sleepover, and the first movie that I actually watched, my first horror movie, was House of Wax, actually, and with Paris Hilton.
Mhm.
And then uh growing up, I always kind of been around it. That is kind of weird, kind of weird to say. So like it went from House of Wax, and then I went to a babysitter's house when I was younger, and we watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then eventually another sleepover rolled around, and the movie that we were going to watch was Freddy versus Jason, and that's how I got introduced to Freddy and Jason. And Jason was more believable to me than Freddy because growing up, I always went camping as a kid and went swimming and all that. So I was very like, oh my god, is this guy real? Because obviously you're young and you don't know that these characters are fake.
Mhm.
And I was just horrified of Jason, and he was my boogeyman. Like he was in my nightmares. He made me horrified and whatnot. And as I got older, I realized that I started getting more interested in him than being afraid of him. And so I watched some of the movies back to back. And I mean, I was still young, I was still scared, but I still wanted to watch these movies. There was something about him that drew me closer to me liking him. I think it was just the fact that he he was he was mistreated as a child. I mean, because he was bullied and he had the deformities and whatever. And growing up, I was a little bit bullied, so I kind of had like this relation to the character, and because like I always thought I was different, and because Jason's different too, I thought there was like that connection with him. And eventually, this was like the same time that the 2009 film was coming out, and I really wanted to see it, and that's how I fell in love with Jason. I went to see the movie, and the rest was history. And as far as getting to Jason, cosplaying him, at first I didn't think I could cosplay him because he's such a big and imposing character, and a lot of people don't know I'm only 5'10". So and I wear boots that make me taller. I stand probably like 6'2", 6'3" in the full outfit.
Wow, okay.
Yep, I have heel lifters. That way they give me that boost and make me more intimidating. And so like I said, I didn't think I could ever cosplay him. I didn't think because I wasn't tall enough, I wasn't big enough. So the first cosplay I did was Spider-Man, and it just made me want to. I was like, I don't want to do Spider-Man forever. I did Spider-Man for like maybe like most of like probably from uh let's see. I started cosplaying in 2016, and that's when I did Spider-Man, and then I slowly started to like transition into the horror stuff.
Hmm.
And I my grandfather bought me a Jason mask. He made it himself. He bought the mold as a gift, and we made it, and we made it together. So it has some sentimental value. I still have it to this day. It's just I can't wear it anymore because of how old and
Hmm.
distressed it is. And so then later I got another hockey mask, and I just started wanting to be like, I really want to do this. I really want to be Jason. Like I like Jason. I love the movies. Like who says I can't be Jason? And so I went on fan sites on Facebook of like, like get any information about the version of Jason that I like, which is the Derek Mears version. And I people were coming to me about like what like where to find the clothes, what you should and shouldn't wear, and that's kind of like, well, uh, they're like because it's hard to get opinions from people because they have different versions, they have different ideas of what he should look like,
Hmm.
and also I tried looking at like the pictures of him in the movie. Like you can't really like see what he looks like because like some of the
Right.
scenes are very dark and atmospheric and whatnot. So I'm like, crap. And luckily enough, I bought the action figure that NECA made, and I based my costume around the action figure. Um, I'm like, these people have the rights to the movies. They have to know what he looks like.
Hmm.
And finally, a picture was, I don't know if it was released or I found it, and there was a picture of the actual outfit going up for auction, from the pants, the boots to everything. And so I screen saved the picture and I just based it off the picture, and I reached out to all like different artists and stuff. I mean, when I when I first got my second hockey mask, I was looking at it. I'm like, if people can make this, they can make the rest of the outfit.
Hmm.
So I reached out to different artists and stuff like, hey, can you help me make this costume? And like I reached out to some other group fans and whatnot, and they pointed me in the right direction. And um I think that, and it was just finding the right pieces, and over time, I just really wanted it to be what I wanted it to be, which was Jason.
Yeah. Okay, I mean that's incredible. I mean, what a way to go from starting from House of Wax and ending
Mm,
up with Jason. I mean, hey, that's incredible. Um, and yeah, I mean, I can relate to what you were saying about how, Jason, like you gravitated sort of towards him.
mm,
Um, because you dealt with bullies and all that, because
Mm.
I understand that too. But
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that's really cool though. And I think I saw that you're also like the official Jason for the 13 Gallows Lane. Is that right?
Mhm.
That's really cool. So how did that come about?
So I did a photo shoot with a friend of mine. This is when I was still building the costume.
Mhm.
It was to where I wanted it to be, but not exactly. I mean, it was still fairly fresh, and this was like the first ever Jason photo shoot I was gonna do. And my friend's like, "Hey, we know you have this Jason costume, and Halloween's coming up. Would you be interested in being Jason for our photo shoot?" And I'm like, "Oh, absolutely." And we wanted it to be like as close to the movie as possible. Like we actually went on like Google and we looked up like abandoned campgrounds and stuff that we could go to. And there was an abandoned campground that's like an actual like hour from me called Branchwood Camp.
Mhm.
It used to be a Girl Scout camp in the 90s, but it got closed down because they didn't know what they wanted to use for a water supply. So they ended up shutting down the camp. And so we went out there and we did a photo shoot, and it was the best time ever. I mean the weather was kind of icky, but it didn't ruin the experience for me because like, oh my god, I'm gonna be Jason in a photo shoot, because back then I always did Spider-Man, but this was definitely something new for me. It was definitely something to branch out of, like finally something that doesn't have to have anything to do with Spider-Man.
Mhm.
And I was just like excited, and so we did the photo shoot, and I posted them up on friend groups. And this guy, Joe Gallo, which is his name, 13 Gallows Lane, Joe Gallo, and he he's like, "Oh my god, these pictures are amazing," and I said, "Oh my gosh, thank you," and whatnot, and this, that, and the other thing. And he sent me a friend request. He actually discovered me by accident. He was just going through Facebook, and just so happened to see my pictures, and my pictures were very similar to his. And he like I said, he reached out, he told me how great the pictures were, and he sent me a message through Facebook, and he friended me on Facebook, and he's like, "Oh my god, these are amazing." And I said, "Oh, thank you very much, thank you." And we were just complimenting each other and talking about the movies.
Mhm.
And he said, "Well, would would you be interested in doing a photo shoot?" And I said, "Yeah, definitely, anything to get back in the outfit." And he asked me where I lived. He thought I lived in like New Zealand or something. Like because normally like when you meet like really good like people in costumes and stuff, they usually like live far away. And he
Oh.
was shocked that he was shocked that I lived like 45 minutes from him. And he was like, "That's like four," and I told him where I lived, and he's like, "Oh my god, that's like 45 minutes from me." And so we he's like, "Can give me some time? I'll definitely reach out to you for a photo shoot." And I said, "Absolutely." And about like maybe like a month and a half went by, and he says, "You still interested?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely." And I went down to Auburn, New York, where he lives, and we did a photo shoot, and I've been with them ever since.
It's so cool. So, if you don't mind me asking, is this like a side job type of thing, or is it just like a collaboration, or
It's more just like a little hobby. It's
okay,
just something to do. Like, I mean, I don't do it for money. I don't do it as like a side job. I just do it because it's fun. I mean, any reason to get back in the outfit.
absolutely. No, I'm right there with you. Like for me, like I do a lot of like horror writing.
Mm,
And I often get the question, "Oh, well, do you get paid for it?" It's like, well, not always. I
yeah.
just do it because I love it. So
Mm.
I can definitely relate to that. That is so cool. And the pictures, oh my
Oh,
gosh,
thank
because
you.
that's actually how I found you, is through the 13 Gallows Lane, if I remember correctly, is I found their page and I was like, oh my gosh, like this Jason is genuinely terrifying.
No, thank you.
So
Thank you.
yep, really, really good job and like great detail, honestly.
I thank you. I appreciate it.
Um, and so I also want to ask you, so do you go to like a lot of like horror conventions with this Jason costume?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. The one I attend the most is in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Monster Mania.
Mm-hmm.
It's a show that I always attend. It's like my home away from home, honestly. I just never thought that I would be going and I would be meeting so many people that like the same things I do. Like I met a friend of mine that I'm very close with. And all we did was talk when we first met. All we did was talk about the Jason movies and all that, and we just connect and we all like connected and whatnot. And obviously, also the costume gets a lot of attention because like you'll see like some like people would want pictures of you and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
and it was insane. I remember my first time going to Monster Mania, and I had the whole Jason costume on, and people would like pull me aside and ask for a picture, or like, can you make it look like you're choking me or stabbing me or anything like that, or I'm just like, this is insane. And it's just crazy that the amount of like it was just crazy about like with all the attention that I got, like, and like people were like asking me, oh, you should do the costume contest, you should do the costume contest, it looks really good, it looks really good. And I've never been a competitor. I don't like to compete. I don't, it makes me feel um like the pardon my French, that my shit don't stink or anything like that, just because I have a really good costume. And I never thought to myself that I was better than anybody. I just do it because it's fun. It's something that I like to do. It's a hobby. It gives me it takes my mind off things. It's like an escape from the real world and whatnot. But I did the costume contest for fun. I didn't do it to compete. And I went up there, and everyone was just like, "Oh my god, he looks really good."
Mm-hmm.
And I did not win the contest, but I got an honorable mention.
Hey, there you go. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I got an honorable mention.
Okay, that's really cool. So so when you go to these horror conventions, do you stick to ones that are like closer to where you live, or do you like travel across the country?
It depends on it depends on the distance, really. I mean, I've
Mm-hmm.
been the farthest I ever been to a convention was North Carolina,
Okay.
and I drove 14 hours, and I vowed I would never do it again after that. Yeah, because a friend of mine uh she was going to be a mistress for Mad Monster,
Mm-hmm.
like where they called like divas of Mad Monster. They like have like a certain group of females, and they like do like a little show, like showcasing who they are, where they're
Mm-hmm.
from, and all that. And she wanted to do a Camp Crystal Lake theme, and
Mm-hmm.
she thought of me right off the bat. And she's like, would you be interested in being Jason for like a little skit, like a little show and whatnot? And I said, yeah, yeah. Where's it going to be? And they're like, oh, it's going to be in North Carolina, and Charlotte, North Carolina. Sorry. And I was like, oh, let me Google it. Like, see, let me see where this place is. And I Google it. And I'm like, 12 hours. I'm like, I mean, I drive 5 hours to New Jersey. I mean, it's just an extra like 10, like maybe like an extra like 9 more hours.
Mm-hmm.
Never do it again. I'll never drive that far ever again. Next time, I told my friends that live in North Carolina, like, hey, you're gonna come back down? I said, if I do, I'm flying because
Mm-hmm.
driving it just kills me.
Oh yeah.
And I that was probably the farthest I've traveled. Other than that, I do want to go to other conventions. I do want to return to North Carolina. That's where I had the most fun. But yeah, I definitely want to travel more and whatnot. But as far as driving, I'd rather stick to going on a plane.
That is completely fair. Yeah. Um, I know for me, I've never actually got to go to any horror conventions because
Really?
I live in a really awkward area where like the closest horror convention I think to me is like 3.5 hours away, which isn't
Hmm.
too bad.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I just it's just a matter of being able to drive out there and having the money for it because
Mm.
I really, really want to so badly. Because yeah, there's all these amazing horror cosplayers and horror
Yep.
creators, just all these things that I would love to go to and meet. I just never had the opportunity. But I always see them on social media. I'm like, one day I'll be
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that was me and before 2018, and
Hmm.
I finally my birthday was coming up, and it was literally the weekend. It was actually on my birthday weekend, and my dad said, "Where do you want to go?" And I said, "I want to go to Monster Mania, New Jersey." Because I always wanted to go, and I like definitely horror cons have definitely a different vibe. Like
Hmm.
horror fans are like the nicest people you'll ever meet. It's it's great. Like any other convention, it doesn't have that vibe
Hmm.
like horror conventions do, and it it's hard to explain. It just feels like it it just feels like you're part of it. It's not only you're home away from home, but it's something that means more
Hmm.
in a way. It's not just the convent. I mean, some people that are not into horror, it's just a convention, but like horror fans that go to these horror conventions, that means a lot more.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like it's because horror fans like and I mean this in a good way. We're like
Mm,
always the weirdos of like, oh yeah, well you like horror. That's weird.
mm,
And like there's like that sense of community even in that. So yeah, no, it looks so fun from what I've seen,
mm,
videos and posts, like I said, on social media. And even just people telling me about it. Like I've had friends go to these horror conventions and they tell me all about it. I'm like, man, I'm so jealous. So, yes, one of these years, like there are several that I want to go to, not just in my state, but like across the
mm,
country. So, like,
mm.
that's one of my, I guess, bucket list items is like
Yeah,
to be able to save up enough money and like travel to those one of these years.
absolutely. That's
Hmm.
awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Um, Hold on. I like wrote down a couple of things so I wouldn't forget because I have a horrible memory.
No, take your time.
Um, so oh, I also know that you started cosplaying or you're going to be cosplaying Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been like Leatherface is one of my top five horror characters. I mean, kind of like the same thing with the Jason thing. When I was growing, like I saw the Leatherface movie before I saw Jason,
Mhm.
and I wanted to rewatch that movie, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I'm still in contact with my old babysitter. I said, "Hey, you remember the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie that we watched how many years ago?" And she's like, "Dude, you were like 6 when we saw that." And I'm like, Do you happen to have it? Do you have it laying around?" And she's like, "Yeah, I think I have it laying around." And she messaged me back and she said, "Oh, it's the one with Jessica Biel." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, okay." So I went on, so I type in Jessica Biel Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, and I watched it, and I really like that one. I really do. And I had friends of mine that cosplayed that version of Leatherface, and they look amazing.
Mm.
I have friends of mine that do that version all the time because it's one of the better remakes. And I was like, I don't want to do that version of him. I want to do one that's like that version, but like a different spin on it because the when I watched it, he had like a hunchback. And I'm like, how am I gonna make a hunchback? And they're like telling me, oh, you can like use pillows and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to go through the hat. I don't want to walk around with a pillow on my back all through a convention. And um, I was just like I was just like trying to figure it out, and then a friend of mine's like, "Have you seen the prequel?" I said, I haven't seen. There's a prequel, and they said, "Yeah, it's called Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. It's the origin story of how Leatherface became Leatherface." And I said, "No, I haven't seen this." So one day I rented the movie, and I'm watching it, and I just really liked the origin story of how Leatherface became Leatherface, and more in particular the Thomas Hewitt version, because in the original he was like he had like a personality disorder, and I thought that was kind of like, I'm like, well, I don't want to act like a big baby walking around a convention, you know, I want to feel intimidating and whatnot. And I felt like the Thomas Hewitt version was way more intimidating. I thought he was way more scary.
Mhm.
Instead of like him being more like a man baby, he was like an outcast because because he was different, and people treated him like a monster. If you watch the movie, they call him like a creature, they call him a monster, and like a dumb animal because he's mistreated. He's definitely mistreated, and like I said, the bullying thing was another thing too. Because when I was in middle school, I got picked on a lot for liking these types of things,
Yeah.
and and so then I I had like kind of that connection like I had with Jason, but I have like more of attachment to Jason than I do Leatherface.
Hmm.
If I hadn't met Jason, I would probably done Leatherface, and and then maybe down the road I would have done Jason. But I'm happy that I did Jason before, but that I did Jason first, then now transitioning into Leatherface. And so I was I was watching the movie, and I just liked how he behaved and whatnot. I liked the more like he knew that what he was doing is wrong, but he did what he did for his family to survive. You know, he loves his family. You know, this family never treated him any different. You know, they protected him, and and they protected him, and he protected them as well. And I just really liked the look of him, and and it was like the earlier stages, so he's a lot younger, so like the so he's definitely a less skilled Leatherface. He was just like he's just starting to kill people and start to wear people's faces and whatnot. And I just really like that version. And I would get screenshots from the movie, and I would go on like Amazon, and I would try to like find things that match the clothes that he's wearing, or I'll watch behind the scenes to see how they made the outfit and during like the production of it back in 2006.
Hmm.
And I had a friend of mine help me find the shirt and dye it. I got the shirt off Amazon. It's a red cap striped shirt. Um, I got some. I think it's called sandstone dye. It's like fabric dye to dye your clothes. You can throw it in the washer, but I don't trust myself because I'm afraid I'll mess it up. So
Hmm.
I just fill up a bucket with hot water, and I put the shirt in there, and I put the dye in it, and I would stir it every half hour. And you're supposed to leave it. It says to leave it in there for like 2 to 4 hours. But I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna do the 4 hours just to make sure that it dies all the way.
Hmm.
And then I once it finally dried and it died the way I wanted it to, I took it in my garage where it's kind of like it's like filthy on the ground. I just roll on the ground, make it all distressed and weathered and whatnot, because I have some stuff that makes my clothes weathered. I use it's called zombie dirt. It's like a powder that makes your clothes like dirty and distressed and whatnot. And also I use it for my hands when I walk around conventions to make it look like my hands are distressed and weathered. Sometimes I put blood on them.
Hmm.
It just depends on how I feel. And then I had fake blood laying around, and I just used it on the sleeves because in the film you can like when he's like doing his thing, he has like blood on his sleeves and whatnot. But also at the same time, I add my own like little flair to it, so I just like spurt some blood on it because he has a chainsaw and blood squirting everywhere in the movie and whatnot. So I it didn't really seem to matter on where I put the blood. It's just he's a monster. He kills people, and the pants are Dickie work pants, and I just like I said, I just distressed them in the garage. Didn't really do too much to them because in the movie they don't look all that distressed and whatnot. And I'm having a friend make me the apron. I haven't paid for his services yet, but I'm in the process of getting the apron, and I have a friend of mine that's willing to sell his mask to me. So it's coming together, but it's taking a little bit.
Okay. That is really, really cool. Well, I mean, I'm excited to see that final product. And I mean, like, are there more horror cosplays that you have in mind, or is it just those two right now that you want to stick with?
I have more. I have the ones I do are obviously Jason Leatherface. I have Leslie Vernon from Behind the Mask, the rise of Leslie Vernon. I have to look over here to all my horror stuff. I
Oh
have
wow.
yep, I have the Michael Myers costumes. I have 2018 kills and ends. Um my kills was custom made by a friend of mine before that film came out. Um I really wanted to do the kills version, and he I bought a 2018, the one on the I don't know, my right, your left,
Mhm.
or vice versa, and he distressed it and whatnot, and I loved it because it was something like I said, I like things that are different and things that you don't really see. I mean, obviously people dress up as Michael Myers all the time, and I wanted to do something different. Like everyone like thinks that Michael is like Jason, but they're really not. Like Jason, he's more of like a heat-seeking missile.
Mhm.
With Michael, he's very like sneaky. He's like a cat, sort kind of like.
Mhm.
And sorry, as I was saying, I have Leslie Vernon, Michael Myers. I have Ghostface from the Scream movies. I have also Art the Clown from Terrifier 1 and 2.
Okay.
Um Also I have what do I have? Also I have one that people don't really know about. It's called Midnight Movie. I It's a cosplay called the the character's name is called Ted Radford, and
Okay.
he's like a Freddy Krueger type character, but he doesn't attack you in your nightmares. He attacks you through the TV screen. Like
Oh,
he's a character in a movie, and he can come out of the TV and kill you, and he can jump back in the TV before anyone knows what happened. They just find like someone dead, and the movie would be playing, and he'd
oh
be like killing
wow.
someone in the movie.
Okay. That's awesome. Oh, wow. I mean, dang, I'm gonna have to look at your page and see all these different cosplays because that's really, really cool. I
Also,
admire.
oh,
Oh, sorry,
sorry, I
go ahead.
forgot. I also have My Blade Valentine, Harry Warden.
Awesome, awesome. Because yeah, I love following cosplayers. I don't do cosplay myself,
Hmm.
just because I have no idea who I even would cosplay. But yeah, no, I find it so fascinating that y'all can just like put on this whole persona and just like when you take it off, you're just, a normal guy. But when you put it on,
Yeah.
everyone's scared of you. So it's really, really cool. Um, okay. I don't know if you could see it. I don't because I don't have I don't pay for Zoom meetings. I only have
Hmm.
a certain amount of time for these meetings, unfortunately. So I have,
Hmm.
what is that, 7 minutes and some change left. But
Hmm.
I did want to ask you before our time is up. Do you have anything that you want to like shout out? Like, do you have anything coming up that people can see you at, or um, any social medias that you want to promote?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a huge shout out to my good friend Joe Gallo for all the photo shoots 13 Gallows Lane. Without him, I wouldn't be doing this today and meeting all these fantastic people. Also, I want to shout out for everyone that has inspired me to do more cosplays and all the compliments I get from everybody that tells me that I'm that everyone tells me I'm not I'm not saying this because I am. I'm saying this because of other people that tell me I'm one of the greatest Jason cosplayers out there. Not to make it seem like my shit don't stink. Pardon my French, but
Eh,
I'll never think people tell me that all the time. Like you're the best, you're this, and I couldn't be more grateful for people like being so kind and generous to me. And it's been a wild ride, and it's just I it just continues to grow and everything. And but yeah, people can reach me at harvey.cos on Instagram. It's HARVEY.COS, short for cosplay, obviously. Um and for the next shows I will be doing Saratoga Comic Con in May on May 6th. It is a Saturday, and I will be appearing as Jason Voorhees. I'll only be there for one day. Um, and then the I don't really have anything coming up after that, but I definitely want to attend Monster Mania in August, where I will be debuting Leatherface for the first time once I have everything done. I should have Leatherface done if everything goes well. I'm hoping sometime in June or January.
okay. No, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that. Um, okay. Well, I'll go ahead and wrap up our interview, but thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely,
and yeah. All right. I don't know how to end it. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. And I'll see you next time.